and become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the channel, and thank you for clicking on the video. As you saw in that intro, Gyre is cracked right now, thanks to the green shards. Applying the 2+ corrosive stacks with the 2 shards, giving you 14, allows you to fully armor strip with any corrosive ability currently. So I went ahead and threw Tempest Barrage, I kept her 2, and you've kind of got like a CC absolute spam fest of armor strip and shock procs. It's very, very strong, especially if you find a tight knit little room, and even runs solo. So I wanted to showcase this build. Let's get started. I do need to mention that you do not have to have the purple shard here. I threw this in here just because I was testing something earlier before I threw in the green ones. The green ones are mandatory. You need to have at least 14 stacks of corrosion in order to fully armor strip. So with these 2 greens, that's a total of 4, plus the base 10 that you get, giving you 14. That is allowing Tempest Barrage to fully strip armor. Now this is the build I'm running. It does show 8 Forma, but this is honestly more like a 3 to 4 Forma build. We've got Energy Siphon and Archon Stretch to help improve energy regen. I'm going to touch back on Cathode Grace, but this ability also has an energy regen. So you don't need Arcane Energize for this. In fact, I recommend you use Arcane Aegis, just because with Primed Redirection, and if Gyre was at max rank, she'd have over 1800 shields. And with Augur Reach, you're going to be giving yourself overshield. So you're going to hit well over 2000 shields with Gyre. And with Arcane Aegis and the whole shield gate change that happened last update, it's actually really, really solid survivability, especially since with this build, I recommend you kind of sit in an area, not move around too much, because we want to make sure that the enemies can actually stay in one spot, because Tempest Barrage does not have any form of scaling range. If it did, it would be too strong. So you can't scale the range up for Tempest Barrage, which is why we don't have a whole lot. It's mainly just for these 3. And you'll notice too that the duration isn't that long. That's because thanks to Cathode Current, we're actually able to keep the duration low, because these 2 abilities on kill reset themselves. So you don't have to recast the 2 or 3 ever. And thanks to this augment, you're increasing the damage, which is going to be increasing the energy regen, because it's always going to be up. So you're always going to have energy regen on top of Siphon and Stretch. Now Siphon, I guess, is technically, optional. You could really throw anything in there. This is just another way to keep the energy up, because you will be spamming Tempest Barrage. Again, Cathode Current, energy regen, critical chance. That's how you guys are seeing all this red crit nonsense. It's not just the dual I-Core, which we'll touch on in a moment. But again, we're grouping all the enemies up thanks to Coil Horizon, and then spamming our Tempest Barrage. Like you saw in the intro, this build is actually really, really solid. The other mods, of course, adaptation. We have a whole lot of shields, so we want to make sure our adaptation is protecting us. So we have a lot of shields, we have a lot of DR, a decent range, decent duration, and of course we're running Prime Flow. Now you'll notice too that I don't have Prime Sure-Footed. Like I said, you should be in an area where the enemies can't really get to you, because you're pulling them away from you. Of course you can worry about Eximus units, but we have the armor strip. You could always shoot your primary. I don't really think you need it. The little bump in range really helps out. Gives it a nice 23 meters on the pull, and then everything else is about 20 meters here on rotor swell. It's actually really, really solid. So and then Tempest Barrage, of course, is about 13 meters, so they're all relatively similar. The last arcane, of course, is Multi-Augmented, just another way to increase the damage. If you have a max Multi-Augmented, it's an additional 60% strength. Very, very solid. We're going to be increasing our damage overall. But yeah, this is the build. Let's talk about the weapons. Now, I want to talk about the secondary first real quick. This is the Grimoire. This came out with the Whisper in the Walls update. This weapon is actually really, really good due to the fact that it's got the new tome mods. Now, a lot of people don't have these yet. That is because you actually have to farm them. You can purchase them for platinum from the shop. That is what I did. I think it's about 100 plat to get all of these mods. So, as far as how active of a player you are, you may have the platinum to spare to do it. I would say you should. an easy way to get the ball rolling here. And these tomes are very, very good. So you'll notice too, I have this tome, which on enemy death, there's a chance to get a universal orb. So that's more health and energy for you. Again, feeding into the fact that we've got all sorts of energy regen, allowing you to keep the Tempest Barrage going at all times. We've got these 2 Augur mods. So every time we're spamming our 1, we're getting over shields, constantly refreshing those shields in case an enemy touches us at all. We've got Anemic Agility. We don't care about damage. This is just for priming. So we've got Secondary Encumber as well. And then the last tome here is increasing ability duration. Tell me that's not really good for Tempest Barrage, right? Very, very good. Now, as far as the status, you can really, throw in here whatever you want. It is innate electric, so it's actually really, really good against the Murmur. So if you want to use this against the Murmur, you can. We've got Barrel Diffusion. Obviously, we're not killing, so we want that dodge speed for Gyre and the multi-shot. Very, very nice. Now, for the melee build, I am running this. I've talked about the dual I-Core before in some previous videos. 6 form is pretty expensive, I can't lie. This does have a Riven in it, but regardless of that fact, to get this going, you have to use a Arcane adapter, a Exilus adapter, and then throw this mod in, and then Forma again. It can get pretty expensive, so keep that in mind when you're thinking about throwing in Tennocreate. It's really not that necessary, but it's pretty nice when you're grouping all the enemies in one go, running in and meleeing them, and then you get free heavy attack and all sorts of damage. Now, the dual I-Core Riven I have is this. You really don't need it. It is really nice, though, with the extra range and whatnot, but if you don't have one, maybe throw in another faction mod, maybe heat or something, whatever you need. But keep in mind, too, that we have viral and electric here, and that's because we're using melee influence. I haven't made a video on this, but a few YouTubers have. I recommend you go watch Darthmufin. I'm pretty sure he was the first person to really showcase this weapon, dual I-Core with melee influence. He uses it with Saryn. It's very, very good. But this is the build we're using for the dual I-Core. You don't have to use this weapon. I just like using it because of its incarnate form and its evolution, where when it's in the incarnate mode and you get a kill, it leaves toxin damage fields on the ground. Just more status, more CC, more damage overall. It's very, very nice. Now for companion, I highly recommend you stay away from Nautilus. You're already trying to group enemies up with your 2. You don't want Nautilus coming in and doing that also. You're going to be able to spam the 2 just fine. You don't need Nautilus. One option is maybe this guy. I know I don't have him built, but if you actually look at his special mods, he does kind of fill into that role or that philosophy of tons of electric damage with Arc Coil and Electro Pulse. It's totally up to you. It's not technically necessary. There's probably better ones, but this is just an option if you're trying to have fun with the whole build, which is the whole point of this video. It's to have fun. There are way better builds that are on YouTube right now. This is for fun, guys. But I encourage you guys to leave comments and things like that. Tell me what you think about the build, but maybe this guy, or maybe just standard carrier, or your favorite MOA pet, or whatever. Now for primary, you could really run whatever you want. One thing that you could potentially use is the Ferox. This is kind of cool because you can just throw it at the ground and it pulls enemies in on top of wherever you're trying to do all your damage. So this is just sort of a use it and forget it sort of weapon. One thing that I was also enjoying using is actually the Phantasma, which is what you saw in the intro. I've actually talked about that weapon quite a few times, so check out some of my other videos talking about that weapon and some of the other builds. Here, I'll show it to you right now. Right here, this is the build that I use for like non-murmur type enemies. We've got Heat, Rad, and Viral. This is the Riven. We've got Chuck and Vendetta as well. But if you are going against the murmur, I would recommend a just pure electric and Rad build. It's relatively similar, except we do actually have the crit damage mod in here and critical chance, because Phantasma actually has 11 crit chance, while the non-prime version only has like 3. So this is the build. Those are the differences between the two. But again, whatever primary weapon you want to use is subjective. And that brings us to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. there are a lot of good videos out right now involving Warframe builds and the new Archon shards. A lot of YouTubers are making some fantastic builds. I recommend you don't stop at mine. knightmareframe uploaded a wonderful Saryn build that I truly think is probably the best build in all of Warframe currently. I think Saryn is the best Warframe in all of Warframe currently. I'm not kidding. It's that good. I've used it myself. I'm not just deriding him. I swear to God, it's that good. AZN has been working his ass off. He's been making some really excellent videos. I'm looking forward to seeing what kyaii puts out. But I have to admit, I got to end this on a positive note. I've been saying this on my community tab and some of my other videos, but Warframe is kicking ass right now. It's never been so good to play this game. This new update knocked it out of the park for me. Everything about it is so much fun. It's engaging. It's really allowing a lot of players to really use their mental and come up with crazy builds that just kind of revolutionize the meta. There's so much to explore with this update, and we're only like a couple days in. So if you liked this video and thought I did a good job, consider leaving a like and subscribing. Go check out those other YouTubers I mentioned. I'll link them down below. But I want to thank you for watching till the end if you did. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate the comments, so keep them coming. I appreciate the support. I enjoy doing this. To me, it's all for fun. So once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.